Today I'm talking to Tony Duffin, the Sustainability Director for CLPM. Tony, what can you tell us about new builds and how sustainability can be used?
Well, new build is very exciting, and sustainability, in my view, plays a big role in terms of the energy use of the building, the environmental impact in use, and of its construction materials. So there's a lot that can be done here. And the initial design is the great place to begin, because there are all sorts of key decisions can be made by accident in some places. So you may not realise that even the floor plans in sketches submitted for planning can actually contain design choices that can't be undone later, and yet they force you down an expensive and maybe time-consuming route. So some of my work is to avoid those. New build is often to a deadline and, of course, to a budget, but we would say take care to slow down at this stage, the early stage, and think carefully at the outset, because our experience is that a few weeks' delay at the design stage can save you months later on. We find an overall project which is thoroughly thought out at the beginning goes more smoothly in the tendering, in the contracts, and in the build phase, and this applies to the energy aspects as much as anything else. The key thing I would say to think about in a new build is that it is normally good financial decision to achieve a building with a higher energy performance than the building regulation. This doesn't necessarily mean going for something like passive house, which needs no heating, but the building regulations set a minimum level below which nothing should be built. Your own project, I would say, should aim higher than that. And our experience is that by assessing, evaluating and analysing a building design from day one, you can save on capital cost and reduce heating bills and improve your comfort all in one go. Now, I will begin with a site visit, because all locations have features and details which need to be included in the thinking. So an obvious one is what services are on site or nearby. Is the site open and windswept, or is it sheltered and shaded? Is it urban or is it rural? I will always discuss the project with the client, so we both understand what can be done in the constraint of site and budget, of course, and so that I understand what the client is trying to do, and we get some aims and objectives written down. I will then analyse the new building design with the help of our thermal model, and this is a bit like a doctor getting tests to inform a diagnosis. The model then helps understand what treatments you can add to the building, and generally this will be a carefully developed mix of better insulation, improvedness, and consideration of renewables, which might be heat pumps or solar PV panels. And I can help the client understand the pros and cons of each. And on some sites, for example, just lots of insulation and a gas boiler might be the best solution from an environmental and a financial point of view. And using our model helps understand what's the most important aspect of this particular building in terms of heating and comfort. The model provides numbers so you can compare the percentage of heat going through the glass or through the roof. And this differs in different buildings. The size, the shape and the volume of all buildings make things different. So you can't use a one-size-fits-all approach. The type of heating system is then the next question. Are you on or off the gas grid? Do you have an environmental objective in mind? How long might you stay in the property? And as long as you're integrating the overall design with the choice of heating system, then I think you're going to get a good solution for your home. And then I will summarise all this in a report, because I think it's important that there is a written document that the client can take away and have as a reference and explains why certain decisions were made. They can look at that later and re-understand, if you like. In the vast majority of properties, I can reduce the heating bill maybe by 25%. I'm sure it improves comfort, and often the overall analysis means we've reduced the capital cost for the building by reducing the cost of the heating plant, as well as making it a better building overall. So, yes, sustainability can add a lot, I think, to a new build.
Thanks for your time, Tony.